Hello and welcome to Pitt Street Research. My name is Stuart Roberts and I'm one of the co-founders of our firm. And joining me today from Sydney on the afternoon of Friday, the 27th of September 2024, is Dr. David Atkins, who's the recently appointed CEO of Rhythm Biosciences, ASX RHY. David, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Stuart. An exciting day before grand final.
But we're not here to talk about football. We're here to talk about potentially one of the best performing life sciences stocks of 2026, if David and his team can play their cards right. David, tell us what Rhythm Biosciences is trying to do.
Yeah, Stuart, look, I appreciate the optimism and, having been with the business since May, certainly my intention and the intentions of the team is to do exactly what you predicted. But what we're doing at Rhythm is we're developing, and we certainly plan to commercialize novel, effective, and affordable blood-based clinical cancer diagnostics. Quite the question that could be asked is, there are plenty of cancer diagnostics out there. Why are we doing that? Well, I think it's well known broadly that when cancer is detected early, the treatment that is available today is way more effective. But cancers like colorectal cancer or bowel cancer, and to a certain extent lung cancer, still are frequently detected as later stage disease. And the outcomes for those patients is much less good than if they were detected early. So despite the multitude of effective therapies, both drug and surgical therapies that are available, cancer to a certain extent still is a problem of poor diagnosis.
Right. And in the case of your company, you're working on ColoStat, which is a simple blood draw to analyze various biomarkers that are indicative of colorectal cancer. At the moment, it's fair to say that diagnosis of colorectal cancer is stuck not quite in the Stone Age, but not too far out of it compared to what Rhythm has on offer.
Yeah, I mean, colorectal cancer or bowel cancer is certainly one of those diseases where it's very clear if you detect the disease early, the individual with that disease has a much better outcome. Early stage colorectal cancer has 5-year survival north of 90%. Later stage disease, much less good. So in theory, we should be able to detect those patients who have the disease and treat them. Unfortunately, the screening programs that are in place today are good, but they could be more effective. And there's a number of reasons why they aren't as effective as they could be. One is just human nature. Even though there are tests available, the general population doesn't always subscribe to them. The other is for colorectal cancer, the test that is used generally around the world is a stool-based test. And there's plenty of data that says that if you provide a blood-based test, adoption and use of that test is going to be far greater. So it's really led to our focus on blood-based tests with a view to ultimately providing something that could be used for general screening or for screening of individuals who are otherwise assumed to be healthy, but finding those individuals who actually have disease or are early stages of disease.
Right. I've looked over your data. It's pretty good. And yet here we are in 2024, some time after the IPO, and there's no commercialized test. What's happened?
Yeah, and in fact, the Rhythm team have been working for 7 or 8 years on a range of cancers, with bowel cancer being the primary focus for the reasons that we discussed. They've got well over 1,500 patient samples that have been analysed, and in a clinical study finished about a year ago, the data looked pretty good. The challenge that we faced into is when we came to launch the assay, feedback from customers was it would be better if we had something that was easier to use and had quality really inbuilt into the design and the manufacture of the product. So what we did was actually made quite a difficult decision to take a step backwards and to re-engineer the basic assay to make sure that when we did go to market, we had something that was relatively low cost, straightforward to use, something that could fit into the routine lab, whether it was in Sydney, Melbourne, Mumbai, London or New York. And what we've been doing over the last 6 months is re-engineering the assay to take what was originally an assay that was spread over 5 different tubes, and we now have the entire assay in a single tube. So we're pretty excited about the data we have on this new multiplex assay, and the future looks pretty promising.
Exactly. Um, uh, as someone who knows a bit about the way laboratories work, I can see that this is a big step forward. And obviously, given all the other work that's gone in to date, the path, therefore, to the prediction for 2026 that I've made is reasonably straightforward. You just take the data you've got with the data on the new assay, multiplex assay, and then go back to talk to the regulators you were talking to previously.
Yeah, labs are very, very cost sensitive operations, and generally labs in most parts of the world are cost centers rather than profit centers. So introducing something that they can slot in seamlessly into their operations is really key. And I think what we're going to go to market with is going to meet their needs very nicely. In fact, our engagement with potential customers right now is really encouraging. Regarding what we have to do from now through to the point when we commercialize next year, because we have done a pretty major redesign on the assay, there's some verification, validation that needs doing. We're going to make sure that the algorithms that we have perform. So we're going to recruit additional patient samples just to be absolutely certain we've got something good. And then we'll do one final system validation. And then, as I mentioned, next year should be an opportunity for us to go to market.
All right. The market opportunity remains more or less as it was when Rhythm went public. I always tell people about a NASDAQ listed company called Exact Sciences, famous for the ColoGuard test, which they got originally from the Mayo Clinic. I checked this morning, and obviously there's more to Exact Sciences now than ColoGuard, but it's a $12 billion company. And what made it all possible was a test that your test leaves in the dust.
Yeah, so the market opportunity is huge. If you look at the numbers of individuals around the world that have hit the threshold where they should be getting a regular screen, it's in hundreds of millions. Now, the way we look at that market is, in fact, there are probably different segments that we can approach first. Rather than trying to go straight for general screening, we've actually identified a number of applications where there are populations of higher risk individuals, where the prevalence or the numbers of patients with bowel cancer is going to be far greater. So we're focusing on targeting those subpopulations first, with a view of taking a stepwise approach to doing what Exact's trying to do at the moment, which is really penetrate that general screening market. One thing that puts us in a strong position is when you're screening tens of millions of individuals, economics becomes really important. And having a test that is relatively straightforward, using reagents and components at a relatively low cost, which is exactly what Rhythm is doing, is going to put us in a very competitive position. And feedback from some of the economic decision makers in Europe and the US suggests that if you have a test that's at $1,000 and you have a comparable test that's at $100, it's a relatively straightforward decision which one's going to get purchased and used. So, look, Exact has done an amazing amount of incredible work. They've done some gold standard clinical studies. They're having a massive impact on the market and on patient health. But we do believe we've got something that's going to ultimately be competitive.
Right. David, not many investors may know who you are. I've taken a look at your resume, and I won't say you're a rock star, but you've achieved a fair bit in your career. Spent many years at J&J working in various parts of that behemoth, and you've been involved on the investment side of the life sciences business before you settled down with this little microcap. Tell us a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, that's very, very kind of you to say, Stuart. I think what you're saying is I'm getting on in my years, but I like to think of it as experience. Yeah, look, I've been in and around diagnostics for about 30 years. I've been fortunate, as you say, to have had a good 20-year career within Johnson & Johnson. I've also had the opportunity to work in both private PE and VC-backed businesses in Germany and the UK. And when I think about those experiences, my time at Johnson & Johnson was tremendous. I learned what good looked like, with organizations like J&J. who have been around for a very long time and focused on quality. That was a really unique education. But I'd say I learned as much in the early stage businesses, and particularly how to build the metaphorical road as you're racing along in a partly built car. So I think those two extreme experiences have put me in a good place to deal with Rhythm, which is a public company, but to a certain extent, because we're going through a rebuild, there is an element of startup about what we're doing.
All right. We're having this conversation 27th September. Let's fast forward. It's Easter 2025. What do you hope to have achieved by then?
So the challenges that we have ahead of us over the next 6 months really are based on taking the re-engineered assay that we have now. So our what we're calling our multiplex assay, where we've taken all of the 5 different antibody reactions and put them in one tube. Because we have done a major rebuild, we need to redo the verification validation. We're going to check our algorithm, make sure that it's working. I'd say by Easter 2025, we'll have a very high level of confidence that the assay is performing as well, if not better, than our previous assay.
David Atkins, good luck on that journey, and well done on what you've achieved to date in terms of getting this company focused on what is going to be a key development step. And thanks for joining Pitt Street Research today.
Thank you, Stuart. Real pleasure.